Thank you for tuning in to Really Next Podcast. Today is February the 3rd, 2022. I want to thank everyone for liking, sharing, and following my page, Really Net Podcast, on Facebook and Instagram. I want to reiterate on last week's topic, which was talking about negativity. Negativity can only give you negativity, but you can also work hard and try to take negative situations, negative thoughts, and negative behaviors and turn it into positive. Remember, someone's always watching you, so try to be a light in someone's eyes. So this week's topic I want to talk about is critical thinking. The definition to critical thinking is the analysis of available facts, evidence, observations, and arguments to form a judgment. It is complex. There's several definitions for this, but which in generally includes being rational, skeptical, and unbiased. You have to evaluate things with actual and factual evidence. What are the 7 critical thinking skills? You got to pinpoint the issue. You got to collect information. You have to examine and scrutinize. Decide what's relevant. Self-evaluate. Draw a conclusion. Then explain your conclusions. You got to also identify assumptions. Establish significance. Then present or communicate. Some people, not most people, not all people, but some people tend to think inside of a box. And when they're thinking inside of a box, they thinking A plus B equals C. That is not critical thinking. That's been actually basic thinking. That's like basic math. It's basic thinking. When you're doing critical thinking, you're thinking A is the square root of B times 2 times whatever. Critical thinking is like algebra. You have to break it down, examine to get and simplify things to get your resolution. When I think of critical thinking skills, I actually think of algebra. And then sometimes that's what makes algebra a little easy for me, because now it's like, okay, now I have to use my brain and analyze things for what they are. You know, I have to think outside of the box instead of thinking of inside of the box. A lot of people problems, which goes back to my last week topic, why they're so negative, because they only think inside of a box. Their mind only stay in 4 squares, and they'll never think, well, how did this happen? How did I come to this? Why am I thinking this? And when you think like that and answer those questions, your mind have to go outside of the box. Then you have to tell yourself, did I hear this wrong? Am I thinking about this in a way that I can only see my perspective? What about the next person's perspective? What about this? What about that? Without making a lot of assumptions, but everyone has a different way of thinking, and it's not always our thinking that makes things right. It's other people thinking plus actual facts plus doing some research where you can come to a solution that can better fit your life. I hope that makes sense, because you think one way doesn't mean the next person think the one way, that way, because the next person have their own ideas, a way of thinking. Put it like that. You know, we all was raised different, and a lot of our ideas, thought process is based on what we was taught as we was coming up, or what we teaching ourselves now. So that's the basic part. But when you get to be around people and you need to learn how to communicate, you want to be a role model, you want to be a leader, you want to be a part of management, you want to be a part of a business, even just being a mother or a father, you have to learn how to critically think about things without being so basic. because basic thinking really can, honestly, and I feel like this can really screw up your life, because there are a lot of positive what ifs. I'm not going to say negative what ifs, because there can be some negative what ifs too. But if you think about something thoroughly before you speak, before you communicate, before you even do actions or make decisions or choices like that, that critical thinking skill is a A1 to have. It's definitely an A1 to have. It's like, critical thinking really can change your life. It also can help you in advancing your career. Like I said, it can make you a better parent, because it's always more than one way to skin a cat. And that's how thinking works. It's always more than one thought. Because if you've been through things, and I'm going to say I done been through some things that I would later speak on. And even though I've been through some things, my thought process still might not always be right. I'm a woman. I'm not going to say I'm going to always be right or wrong, but my thought process might not always be right. So I find somebody that, which I tend to do, is like, if I'm thinking about something, I think I need to make a different choice or a different decision, I never go with my first thought. Sometimes I'll be like, go with your first thought. But when it's something crucial and I know it can help me in the future, I try to find people that's done it already, that succeeded in whatever I'm thinking about, that succeeded or overcame that particular whatever I'm going through. And I talk to them and I see their perspective for what they're telling me. And then I draw my own conclusions. I'll probably take something away, and I'll probably not take something away from that conversation. But it's all about just thinking about it thoroughly before I just make a move, before I just do anything that can really screw up my life or that can make my life better. I find people, and I tell people this all the time, like, you got to find a mentor. You got to find somebody that has really done this and succeeded this life, when it comes to marriage. And I said this in my other podcast, you can't take advice from single people. You take advice from married people, because they can help you in this. And, you thinking something thoroughly before you just say, oh, I want to get a divorce. Find somebody that's been married and then done it and is succeeding in it. And they can kind of eliminate some of the thoughts that you have going on when it goes towards your marriage. When it comes to parenting, I would never take advice from a person that never had kids. They don't know. Honestly, they really don't know. So my parenting, if I feel like, okay, I need to have a conversation with one of my sons about a certain thing, I'm not going to go to a person that never been a parent. I'm going to go to a person that succeeded and has a great relationship with their children. And I'm going to take what I could take from that conversation and try to implement it in my own thought process so I can communicate better with my own children. When it comes to friendships, if I feel like you're a negative person and you can't keep a friend to save your life, I will never have a conversation with you about friendship, because you don't have friends. So what could you tell me but to be a negative? All I can see that you're just giving me F that person, F this, and do this, do that. But if you're a real friend, friends go through things like marriages and any other type of relationship. So friendships, you have to talk to people that know how to be a friend, and you take away from that and you implement it in your own life. I've always been great at critical thinking. I was an analyst for some years at my previous job. So I think I was pretty good at that. And I try to implement the things I learned from my old job into my personal life. Sometimes it works and sometimes it don't work. So I'm not perfect. I've done things where I could have just thought about it just a little bit, weigh my pros and my cons before I did certain things. And I should have done something totally different. But as I get older and much wisdom is coming with age, now it's okay, before I do this, let me really think about this and let me get advice from people that's going to steer me in the right way, not the wrong way. Because I see this all the time where people try to give you advice. They'll give you all the wrong advice, and they don't think about the consequences of their advice, and they don't think about the consequences of the action that comes along with the thought process. So you just got to think about those things. Think outside of the box. It's always more than one way to really just skin a cat. And if you don't think thoroughly before you do something, it can really, really take a turn for the worse when you implement the action. The choice, the decision, and the action can really mess up your entire life. So if you don't know how to critically think, I suggest that you research, look at all the definitions, sit back and just probably even take a communication course. I firmly believe in going to school to learn things. And if you feel like school is a waste of money, man, a lot of y'all need to go back to school, because the communication skills, the critical thinking skills, the decision-making skills are really actually taught in college, because I feel like parents, school teachers, and there's nothing taken away from that, but they're only teaching really so much as like the basic education system. But college and it's another course. Other courses are teaching the things that you probably just need to learn to survive in life. Also, YouTube is plenty of podcasts out here that can help you learn that skill. And I'm going to close again with saying that learn how to think outside of the box. Don't always take your thoughts and your experiences and just make a quick decision, because A plus B do equal C, but that's basic. Switch it up and do some algebra in your own thinking, and then simplify the solution. I'm going to shout out to a business. I want to say my own business, my nonprofit organization. I kind of got stuck right there. If you take the time out, go check out my page, Fresh Beginning, Life Changer Organization. My nonprofit is basically to mentor the youth. Anyone from the ages of probably 9 on up to transitioning to adulthood. I really do believe in like teaching kids some things, like, and mentoring them and trying to help them with life-changing things, because it's hard out here. And a lot of these kids just don't know what it really means to survive in this world. Like bill paying, car work. I can't really teach too much of that, but like changing tires. I even had to teach a person about warranties for tires. They didn't know. It's things that I feel like our children should know by the time before they turn the age of 21. We should be like really making sure they learn it. Paying bills, life insurance, car insurance, rental insurance, home insurance, property taxes. So they won't be out here looking crazy, try to purchase something, apartments, how much apartments cost, how much a car costs, interest rates on cars, all that type of things. They really don't know. And so I guess we need to step up and teach them what to expect when they come out here in this world. Y'all have a great evening. Thanks for tuning in to Really Next Podcast. Talk to you next week. Goodbye.